What's going on YouTube? It's Mega Sega Star 221 and I am back with my next showcase video. Now I know a lot of you were expecting that next showcase video to be the Five Nights at Freddy's 2/3 showcase video. But since that one was really long with like basically 11 characters to make, I decided to wait on that one and instead got this one done and out of the way. This is not only showing the new figures, but it's also showing the old figures that you guys were screaming at me about because you said my video quality wasn't good. So, now without further ado, let's get started with my first character, Mikasa Akert. So here we have the new and improved Mikasa. Nothing much changed with her. I mainly just re-went over everything to make it all defined again so it looks like it was brand new once more. But none of the body changed. You're gonna notice that with all of them. But something I could say I did was I redid her face. Let me just take off her hair right here. I redid her face because I mainly got a lot of hate on her face. So I decided to redo her face, and I think it came out a lot better. And it's just, and her hairpiece is just a regular female hairpiece that I put hot glue on to make it look more like her hair. And the scarf isn't really a scarf; it's a custom-made scarf. But like I said about the body, most of the body I'm not really gonna show much detail on, like, to the camera because you've all seen the body before, and all of the bodies look exactly the same, really. Just Eren's body is a beige color. Mikasa has her nicer looking outfit on, and then the other character you're going to see has a scarf on, a little handkerchief. But that's really it for Mikasa. So let's move on to the first Titan, the Armored Titan. Alright, here's the Armored Titan. And now that I have a tripod and a new camera, now you guys don't have to yell at me because you can see his face. So, it's all good. Now, the Armored Titan, just like all the other Titans, is made out of bionicles. I know you guys don't want me to tell you how I make them for some reason, so all I'm gonna tell you is that the base I used for him is called a car. And this is an original bionicle, I'm pretty sure, and it's not any of the Hero Factory ones. So, you probably have to find this online. I don't even know if they'll sell them anymore, but I'm sure any Bionicle thing. Alright, so articulation-wise, all his articulation still works. Maybe in his arms a bit, where the shoulders are, it sort of cuts him off, but it all still works. And one thing I really like with him, you can give him some really nice poses. Like, all his poses end up looking good, and this happens to be the pose I use for him the most often, because it just resembles what he does in the show. An effect I gave to him that I noticed he had in the show is a light up eye feature, which is very simple to do, but since it was just sculpted over it, I just left the back unharmed so I could shine the light through it and it would look like his eyes are glowing. I thought that was needed for this character, unlike other characters which you're going to see, which will not have. But him, along with the Rogue Titan, do have the light up eye feature. And the light effect really does look nice when you put it up to it. It sort of reminds me of Extremis a bit, and his head originally was supposed to be more of a yellow color, like in the show, but I didn't have that color head. So I ended up not having to do that, and I ended up using a red head. But it still looked, and like I said earlier, all his posability still works, and he's very sturdy. A lot of people told me their feet was too big, but the feet are mainly big just to help them stand. But that's really it for the Armored Titan. Now let's move on to my next figure, Captain Levi. So here's my only new minifigure out of the figures in here, Captain Levi. Oh man, he didn't take too long to make, but he was really fun to make at the same time. Just gonna start with this. All of these figures, main bodies, look exactly the same. There's nothing different between his body and like Mikasa's body, except for his handkerchief that he has. Otherwise, all the body was made the same way. There's nothing different between the bodies of any of the characters really. I don't have to address that much more now because there's only Eren left, but now I know I'm about to get screamed at again, but at first I really wasn't a big fan of Levi. I honestly thought he was a big jerk, but once it got towards the end of the show where I saw how his character really was, I loved him. So yeah, I still like Levi, guys, don't yell, but anyways, now unlike the other hair pieces, Levi's hair is completely made by me, because Lego hadn't made a hairpiece that looked sort of like Levi's, so I decided just to sculpt it instead, and I think it came out. So that's it for Captain Levi. Let's move on to my next Titan, the female Titan. Now this is the female Titan. I do know her identity, and if you finish the show, you have too. I am trying not to give spoilers because I got yelled at for that too. So you all know who she is if you finish the show. But I got yelled at the most for her out of any of my figures, I think. Mainly around the facial area again. Just like Mikasa, and I don't understand why, because I think that I did a really good job on her face. That's not the part I was worried about. I was worried about the body, and she honestly took the longest to make because, well, she's a girl, and it's really awkward sculpting that. And then your parents walk in and they ask you what you're making, and then they see this. Anyways, there's a full body view of her. She, like all of them, she has all the same articulation, and like most of them too, only her shoulder area is sort of limited from the clay, but nothing too insane. A feature that I did not give her was the eyes glowing up. They do not glow, because in the show you may have seen her eyes glow once, which was when she first transformed, but I never saw her eyes glowing. I always saw her eyes solid with pupils and stuff. So I decided not to give her that effect, like the Rogue Titan and the Armor Titan. But in size, she's in scale with my other figures in the scale that I did it in. And that's really it for her. All her articulation, like I said, still works. Because she's a girl and I had to curve it inwards towards the pelvis area. Her legs don't kick straight. They kick slightly to the side, but other than that, that's it for the female Titan. And let's move on to the main character himself, Eren Yeager. Now this is Eren Yeager, the main character of Attack on Titan, and I remember getting yelled at for him too, actually. I was yelled at a lot for his face, just like all the others. Well, when I was making that video, I happened to be rushing, so I'm sorry about that, but now I had more time, so I redid his face, and I think it looks a lot better than his original face did. Along with his hairpiece, I didn't change his hairpiece. Everyone was telling me his hair didn't look good, but I think it looks like his hair. If I was to take off his hair for a second, you could see that his face does look a lot more like his face now than it did a while ago. But that's really it for him. This is going to be a really short character to review because all my minifig scaled figures all have the basic same outfits because that's their uniforms. But their faces and their hair pieces or even their undershirts are the only slight differences in all my characters from the army in that show. Now, that's really it for Eren. So let's move on to my next character, which is the Rogue Titan. So this is my redo on the Rogue Titan. The Rogue Titan isn't really that different from what he was. Everything's still the same, none of his sculpt changed, it's the same old body from the last one, but what I did change though was his paint. The way his paint was before, to me, looked really bright, and I don't think it fit with the Rogue Titan. So I decided to redo his paint with my airbrush, which I just started doing now. So all my figures will now naturally look shiny. So I did like a layer of black and blue and red to do the vein work, and then I covered it in the tan afterwards. So I really like how that came out, and I think it looks much more like it should in the show. And if I go to the size comparison now, it definitely fits its purpose for being a giant titan, because even though it's definitely not in perfect proportions, they still look really nice. Feature-wise, he has all the same posability as the figure that I made him on has, and he even has more posability in his shoulder area, unlike the Armored Titan. Another feature I gave him was to make his one ab part come off, and then you can replace it with a battle damaged one just for an added effect, so it would look pretty cool if we were to have it on display. And it definitely looks really cool with it on. The paint didn't really come out as well on that one, but I'm going to have to redo that paint anyways. I'm just going to switch it back to the other one for right now. Another feature that he has is his back part can open up. And this is actually a bit of a spoiler if you haven't got past the section of the show with Trost yet. Let me just take off the back right here, and I'll show you the inside of it. So the main reason I made the back openable is that I could take the Eren figure and I could put it inside him. So you could make that same illusion that Eren is controlling the Titan. And the way the Bionicle figure is made is just basically a support, so leaning him against the support just fits him in there. Now, I've never shown you guys the actual inside of it, so if I take him out real quick, the inside, like I said, it's just the beams that put together the Bionicle that I just put Eren inside it. Another feature I gave him, just like the Armored Titan, I gave him the light up eye effect, and it really looks nice on him because I bought a figure that had an actual green head, so it looked a lot nicer on him than it did on the Armored Titan, and it makes more sense with him because you see him often with the light up eyes. So I just take this light. This is normally how I display him. I put the light on, and it looks really nice. It really looks like how it does in the show with the light up eyes. And that's why I like how LEGO makes their Bionicle heads clear, because you could take a light like this and you can shine it through. So that's a really cool effect that I really enjoyed with my figure. So that is it for the Rogue Titan. Now it's time to move on to my final figure, which is probably the largest figure I've ever created. So here we go with the Colossal Titan. Now, the Colossal Titan is the largest figure I've ever created, and he's not even finished, which is the weird part. I'm using a little illusion here, which is what I call the Disney Castle trick, but you'll see how that works in a... Now, the Colossal Titan is so massive that I couldn't even make a background or something to put behind him, and now all you see is the back of my artwork. And he is probably even the heaviest figure I've ever made, but just so you can see how big he really is, here is the Eren figure from before, in size compared to him, and he is really big. Like, just his head is big enough. So he is really about the size of what a regular Titan would be, seeing how big it would be if he was to actually eat like Eren. So, but being that it's Lego, I have to keep it reasonable because it's still like just a figure. I've made it in scale with the other figures, and it definitely works. But other than that, than the like slight size difference, it really looks nice. I think the paint job came out really well, especially around the eye area. I think came really good. He took me no less than a day to sculpt. It was nothing too hard to do, but painting it took a while, and then having to get all the arm mechanism together took a while. And the unfortunate part is, to make this figure, it was the destruction of the Time Eater. The Time Eater is no more, but I think destroying that figure was definitely worth it because this figure looks amazing. Now, I'm gonna move the camera a bit just so you can see what he's sitting in, but if I swear to God, if one of you people start saying something again, you don't even want to know what I'm gonna do. Alright, so anyways, his body is just sitting in a bucket that's on top of some of my art bins with, you know, just all my art materials around it, because he isn't done. Like I said, his lower body part is not completed yet. So right now, I'll just take him out so you can see his full body outside of the wall. Now this is the full body of him outside of the wall where you can see it. I ended up running out of clay for part of him, so some of his arm is not clay and it's just tinfoil, but the main shoulder parts and the front and back of him and his head is all sculpted, and it came really well. And all the little lines that I had to put in it, I even had to like make the creases going towards the center of the chest, and the neck even, like I even put as much detail into that, but I still had to make it work with the head at the same time. And when I say that, I mean because he used to have a neck joint that actually worked. If I turn him around right now, you'll see that here there is a joint put in there, but what happened was his head ended up being too heavy for the body, and it ended up making the piece crack, and then it just couldn't move without it like breaking off. So I had no choice but to glue it into place. But other than that, only one of his hands are actually posable with all the fingers. The other one, I didn't have both hand pieces. If I did, both arms would be movable like that. But they, two fingers actually are together, so one of the fingers can't move. Facial wise, it was a long time to sculpt that face. The face definitely took the longest to sculpt. Other than that, the paint, I had to mix the paint all together to make his specific color. Even like the peaches part, I had to mix together to find. And of course, obviously, the ab section is it's actually not as perfect as I wanted it to be, but I think it came out really nice at the same time. And if I go onto the face, the way I painted it, I think looks really nice. Even the eyes are even sculpted in there. And obviously this character does not have a light up feature in the back because, one, you never see him with the light up feature. Two, it's kind of hard to do that through a giant piece of clay and make holes going towards each of the eyes. So I couldn't do that, but his articulation still fits and it all still works. Eventually I shall make the lower part of his body. I don't know when I'll do that, but it depends on whenever I actually get those pieces. But for now, I think it looks really nice even without it, because you have the wall, and the wall just makes it look like it's completely there. And that's where I come in with the Disney castle trick again, which is in their castles they do some sort of an illusion, and it's not as big as you think it is, but the back of it is definitely not the best sculpting I've ever done. I don't think the back came out nice at all, and it even cracked a bit at a part, and I still have his leg holes still there for when I do make the bottom part of it where his body will go. But for now, like I said, this is fine, and it looks really nice, size comparison is really hard for this figure because he is the largest figure I own, but if I was to compare him in size, the closest in size I can get is the Metal Overlord, and even he is still smaller than the Colossal Titan. So there's not like anything else that I could really compare him in size to that can actually surpass him in height, because all of my figures are smaller than him. And now if I was to compare him in size to the Titans, he is still taller than Annie by a little bit, and then if I was to take Eren is actually taller than him, but that is just because he isn't up yet. When I have his entire body ready, he would be taller than all of my figures. So that's really it for him. But once you take him and you put him on the display, he just looks perfect. He looks like he is there. He doesn't look like only half his body is there. He looks like he's there. And this is what I said before, the Disney castle trick, which is something that Disney does with all their castles, which is each castle is set back a couple of feet to make the castle look taller, which is a really mean trick, but it really works well in Disney's part. And I decided to do that same sort of thing, so he looks like he's there, but he's really put farther back, so you don't see that half his body is only there. And that is it for this showcase, and that is it for the Colossal Titan. So that is it for this showcase. I hope you all enjoyed. Even though there were only 2 new figures shown in this entire showcase, I really hope you guys enjoyed the new video of just seeing all of them all together, because before all you guys were yelling at me, and I didn't enjoy that, and I also didn't enjoy that you guys couldn't see all the figures that you wanted to see in all their detail. So I was really happy that I got to remake this showcase. If you want to subscribe, you can press on the Armor Titan's head right here, or you can go ahead and you can just go to my channel and watch more of my videos. It's up to you. But another thing I just wanted to talk to you guys about real quick was my new partnership that I am with. And if they're watching, I'd just like to tell them thank you so much. It meant a lot to me. They wanted to partner with me. I am now partnered with TGN, and I am really excited to see what I get to do with them now. Other than that, there's not much else to talk about, but the LEGO Five Nights at Freddy's showcases will be coming out next after this showcase. So whenever I finish that, I'll give you an update on that. But that's really it for now, guys. I'll see you next time.